there is a specific moment, The request arrives for your time, your help, your agreement, your presence at something you don't want to attend, your endorsement of something you don't fully believe in. You feel the honest answer before it forms as a thought. It is somewhere in the body, a slight contraction, a quality of reluctance that is not ambiguous. You know what the honest answer is. And then you hear what comes out of your mouth. Yes. Of course. No problem. Happy to. What follows is not relief. Not the warmth of genuine generosity. Not the satisfaction of having chosen freely to give. It is a hollowness. A specific quality of having left something unsaid. The awareness, quiet but consistent, that the person in front of you just received a performance of willingness, rather than the real thing, and they don't know. Over time, these yeses accumulate. Each one is small. Each one seems like the reasonable choice in the moment, easier than conflict, kinder than disappointing someone, the path of least resistance through a day that has enough friction already. But they are adding up. They are adding up in the form of a tiredness that isn't quite explainable, an irritability that seems disproportionate to the situations that trigger it, a vague but persistent sense of being used, not by any specific person for any specific thing, but by the general demand of a life that has been organized around other people's needs, while your own have gone quietly unmet. And underneath all of it, something you may not have articulated yet. You don't fully know who you are, because you have never consistently shown up as yourself. You have shown up as the version of yourself that other people needed. This episode is about how that happens, why it is so common in men, and what it actually costs.
I want to begin by taking something off the table. This is not an episode about being more assertive. It is not about learning to be difficult, selfish, or unconcerned with others' needs. It is not a prescription for saying no more often as a performance of independence, because that misses the point entirely. The inability to say no, the pattern we're examining today, is not a problem of will. It is not a problem of confidence in the ordinary sense. The men who struggle most with this are often in other areas of life quite capable and quite clear-headed. It is a problem of fear.
Specifically, the fear of what happens when you disappoint someone. The fear of conflict. The fear of being seen as selfish or uncaring. The fear of withdrawal of approval or affection. The fear, in its deepest form, that if you show the version of yourself that has needs and limits and honest reactions, the people in your life will leave. This fear is not irrational. For many men, it was entirely rational at some point. It was a correct reading of the environment they were in. The problem is that the strategy it produced, making yourself agreeable, accommodating, endlessly available, does not create safety. It creates a specific kind of isolation. Because the people in your life are relating to a version of you that is partially constructed. And you know that. And they can feel that, even if they can't name it. The safety the pattern was designed to create is not there. What is there instead is the exhausting work of maintaining a self that is calibrated to others rather than expressed from the inside. Understanding where this comes from is the first step towards something more durable. Most people know 3 of the 4 primary survival responses the nervous system uses in the face of perceived threat. Fight, the activation of aggression or defense. Flight, the withdrawal from the threatening situation. Freeze, the dissociative stillness that the nervous system produces when neither fighting nor fleeing is available. The 4th response was named and described by psychologist Pete Walker, drawing on his clinical work and his own experience of childhood trauma. He called it the Fawn Response. Fawning is the strategy of managing threat by appeasement. When a child is in an environment where expressing needs, desires, or honest reactions produces unpredictable or punishing responses, where the safest path through the emotional landscape is to read the room, manage others' moods, suppress one's own reactions, and make oneself agreeable, the nervous system learns this as its primary tool. It is intelligent. It is adaptive. In the environment in which it was developed, it worked. The Fawn response is not the same as genuine generosity or care. Walker is precise about this distinction. Genuine generosity arises from a felt sense of abundance. I have something to give, and I want to give it. The Fawn response arises from anxiety. If I don't give this, something bad happens. The action looks identical from the outside. The internal experience is entirely different. The man shaped by the Fawn response does not feel generous when he says yes to something he doesn't want to do. He feels the reduction of threat, the relief of having avoided the thing he was afraid of. Conflict, disapproval, the withdrawal of warmth or respect. And here is what is important. This pattern, once established, does not require an active threat to continue operating. The nervous system runs the old program automatically, in contexts that are no longer dangerous at all. The colleague's casual request activates the same appeasement mechanism as the father's unpredictable anger once did. The partner's mild disappointment triggers the same urgency to restore approval as the parent's withdrawal of affection once triggered. The man has long since left the environment that required the strategy, but the strategy has not left him. I want to be careful here, because this is often the section where men disengage. Talking about childhood and learned patterns can feel like territory that doesn't apply, or worse, like the construction of an excuse. And if this episode were about assigning blame or excavating grievance, that concern would be valid. It isn't. It's about understanding the origin of a pattern so that the pattern can be seen clearly rather than simply repeated. Most men who struggle with the inability to say no were not raised by obviously harmful parents. They were raised by parents who were doing their best, who were, in many cases, genuinely loving, but who, for whatever reasons, communicated, explicitly or through the texture of everyday family life, that the child's needs came second. This might have looked like a parent whose emotional state required constant management, a household where conflict was dangerous, or where peace was purchased at the price of honesty, an environment where approval was warmly available when the child was agreeable, and quietly withheld when he was not. In any of these environments, a child with the capacity for attunement, who could read a room, who was sensitive to others' emotional states, who wanted connection and knew instinctively how to pursue it, would learn the same thing. Make yourself agreeable. Read what is needed and provide it. Don't show the parts of yourself that generate disapproval. This is not weakness. It required real intelligence and real social sensitivity. It was the correct response to the actual environment. The cost comes later, when the environment changes, but the response does not. when the boy becomes a man who cannot say no, not because his current environment is dangerous, but because the nervous system hasn't yet received the news that the danger has passed.
Let me describe what chronic overextension produces, because it is important to name clearly. The first thing it produces is resentment. Not immediately, not obviously, but a man who consistently says yes when the honest answer is no is making an implicit transaction. He is giving something he did not freely choose to give. And at some level, beneath the pleasant surface of the interaction, beneath the genuine warmth he may feel for the person he is overgiving to, he is keeping a ledger. He is not doing this consciously. He is not calculating what is owed. But the body keeps its own accounts. And what accumulates over months and years of unanswered honest responses is a diffuse, sourceless irritability, a fatigue that rest doesn't fix, a relationship to the people in his life that is subtly but persistently flavored by something he can't quite name. The second thing it produces is a particular kind of loneliness. This was addressed in a recent episode on male loneliness, but the connection here is direct. A man who cannot say no is a man who cannot be fully known. Because being known requires showing up as yourself, with your actual limits, your actual preferences, your actual honest reactions. The man who has suppressed all of these in the service of being agreeable is relating to people through a performance, and the people are responding to the performance. The warmth is genuine on both sides. The connection is real in many ways, but it is not full, because the real person, with his actual limits and honest reactions, has not been present. And the man knows this, even if he has never articulated it.
The third thing is the erosion of self-trust. When you consistently say yes to things your body said no to, when you override your own honest reactions with such regularity that the override has become automatic, you gradually lose confidence in your own reading of situations. You no longer trust your own judgment about what you want, what you need, what you are willing to give. The signal has been ignored so often that it has become harder to hear.
Epictetus was a former slave. This is not a minor biographical detail. It is the context from which everything he taught about freedom arose. He knew from direct experience what it was to have no control over external circumstances. He knew what it was to have his body owned, his choices constrained, his situation dictated by forces entirely outside himself. And from that experience, he arrived at a teaching that remains among the most practically powerful in the entire philosophical tradition. There is a distinction, Epictetus taught, between what is up to us and what is not. What is genuinely ours, our judgments, our choices, our honest positions, and what is not ours, the reactions of other people, the outcomes of situations, the way others choose to respond to what we do. This distinction is the foundation of Stoic freedom, and its application to the pattern we're examining today is direct. When a man adjusts his honest answer to manage someone else's reaction, he is surrendering what is genuinely his in order to influence what is not. He is giving away his own position, the one thing Epictetus identifies as truly his, in the attempt to control something he cannot actually control. Because people's reactions are not his. They are theirs. He can influence them, but he cannot determine them. And attempting to determine them by suppressing his own honest self is, in Epictetus's framework,
a voluntary loss of the only freedom he actually has. Epictetus wrote in the Enchiridion, "Seek not that the things which happen should happen as you wish, but wish the things which happen to be as they are, and you will have a tranquil flow of life."
Applied here, you cannot make someone not be disappointed by your honest limits. What you can do is be honest and trust that the relationship can survive your honesty. The relationship that requires your dishonesty to survive is not the foundation you think it is. It is a structure built on the performance of a self that is not there. And the man who protects that structure at the cost of his own honest position is not protecting the relationship. He's protecting the performance.
Here is the distinction the episode has been building toward. Genuine giving, the kind that produces connection, that builds real trust, that leaves both people feeling more rather than less, arises from a specific internal state. It arises from abundance, from the felt sense that one has something to give, that the yes is a real yes, freely chosen, genuinely offered, not contingent on what happens if it isn't. The man who gives from abundance can also say no. He says no when no is the honest answer. And his yes, precisely because the no is available, carries a quality of truth that the obligatory yes never does. People feel the difference, usually without knowing how they feel it.
The yes that comes from genuine choice has a different texture than the yes that comes from fear. The generosity that is freely given has a different quality than the generosity that is performed to prevent a bad outcome. The man shaped by the Fawn Response gives constantly and builds, over time, relationships in which people don't fully trust his yes, because they have felt, without being able to name it, that his yes is automatic, that it doesn't represent a genuine choice, that he would say yes regardless. And a yes that is guaranteed, regardless of the circumstances, is not a gift. It is a reflex. The man who can say no, who has learned to hold his own honest position, builds something different. When he says yes, it means something. When he gives, it is received differently, because the receiver knows it was chosen. The relationship is built on something more real than the management of approval. This is not a minor relational difference. It is the difference between a relationship built on performance and a relationship built on truth. Let me be specific about what is not being suggested here. I'm not saying no more often as a policy, not performing independence or deliberately withholding help to demonstrate that you are not a pushover. Not the aggressive, reactive boundaries conversation that some content promotes as assertiveness. What is being suggested is something quieter and more fundamental. Checking in before saying yes with the honest internal response. Not taking the 2-second automatic yes as the final answer. Creating instead a small pause, a moment of genuine internal inquiry. Is this something I want to do? Do I have something to give here that is genuinely given? Or is this a yes shaped primarily by the fear of what happens if I say no? This pause is the practice. It does not require that every honest no be spoken immediately and without consideration. It does not require that discomfort with disappointing someone be eliminated before a no is possible.
It simply requires that the internal, honest response be registered, heard, before the automatic override produces its customary output. From that registered, honest response, what you do will sometimes still be yes, sometimes genuinely yes, sometimes yes with the understanding that you are choosing to give something, even though you had the option not to. And the quality of that choice is real, and the person receives it as real. And sometimes it will be no, expressed simply, without extensive justification, without apology, without the elaborate softening that the fear of disapproval produces. I can't do that. I'm not available. That doesn't work for me. Not cold, not aggressive, just honest. The first time this is said, the first honest no after a long history of automatic yeses, something often unexpected happens. The relationship does not end. The person does not leave. Sometimes there is mild disappointment. Sometimes there is respect. Often, over time, there is a different quality of trust because the person has now encountered a real response, and real responses are more trustworthy than performed ones. The man who can say no does not have fewer relationships. He has more honest ones. And in more honest relationships, something the chronic yes man has been looking for but never finding becomes available. He is known. Come back to the moment the episode opened with. The yes that formed in the body as a no before the mouth overrode it. That moment is not a trivial thing. It is a point of genuine decision. Not the kind that feels dramatic, but the kind that, made consistently in one direction or the other, shapes the entire architecture of a man's relational life. The man who consistently overrides his honest response builds a life in which he is present and not known, generous and not free, liked but not fully trusted, even by himself. The man who begins, gradually, to hold his honest position builds something different. Not overnight, not without discomfort, not without the occasional relationship that doesn't survive the adjustment. But over time, relationships built on something real. The particular reliability of a man whose yes is genuine because his no is available. The freedom, quiet and durable, of a person who is the same on the outside as he is on the inside. Epictetus taught that the one thing genuinely ours is our own judgment, our own honest position, the choice we make about who we are and what we stand for, independent of what others need from us. To give that away, to surrender it habitually, automatically in the service of managing others' reactions, is not generosity. It is the one thing a man can lose that cannot be given back to him by anyone else. It can only be reclaimed by choosing, the next time the moment arrives, to register the honest response first. And trusting that what comes from that honesty, whatever it is worth more than what comes from the performance. Here's the one thing worth carrying. A limit is not a wall. It is a statement of who you are. The man who cannot say no has not yet shown anyone, including himself, who he actually is. He's shown them who they needed him to be. And the relationships built on that performance are warmer in a way, and less real in a way that matters. The first honest no is uncomfortable. The second is less so. The man who can say no is the man whose yes means something. Be that man. I'll see you in the next one.